Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another one of our Meet Me videos. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Kelly Urban. Um, and Kelly, if you just want to take a moment to introduce yourself and uh, tell us about what you do at AA&E.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I'm Kelly Urban, and let's see. So I am a senior manager at AA&E in our IFS department, Individual and Family Services, and I also am a life map coach. So those are my two main roles. And then as a senior, and I also do. I guess this falls under senior manager to some degree, but I also facilitate some of our groups. So I'm a support group and social group leader. And yeah, being a senior manager entails do a lot of parent coaching. So I work with parents of adults who are 18 and up, doing a lot of coaching. I'd say particularly related to kind of relational dynamics. When there's challenges sort of around communication, that is kind of one of my favorite areas to help people with. But kind of do other things as well. And then, yeah, I run or help run our trivia program. I lead a group for autistic adults of any age and gender. I've been doing that for a long time. And I support some of our other groups, kind of being a support to the facilitators. Yeah, I think that's sort of the gist.
One question I want to ask you about our groups, just because they can be so popular and so many people have accessed our groups and have gotten a lot out of them. Um, I guess I want to ask, like, what's your favorite thing about being a facilitator of the different groups?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Yeah, I guess I would probably try to capture it or condense it into just seeing people connect with each other. So this happens in most of our groups, maybe all of our groups, where we just see connections develop over time. There tends to be people who come back time and time again. But also there's an infusion of new people as well. So just seeing people support each other, I guess in the most literal sense, support group, but just seeing that happen. I love how people are, from all over the country, outside of the country as well, with different backgrounds, different ages, different relationships with autism, and yet, so they just have this kind of one thing in common, and yet the way in which people bond around that, but then also kind of have their own differences. I just think it's so cool. So yeah, I think for me, it's just sort of helping that happen. It really is pretty easy because people tend to be so compassionate and wanting to support one another. So just getting to see that is really gratifying.
I agree. I think it's a really good thing to be able to see that level of positivity and to see so many different people just be there for each other on a regular basis, I think is a great thing. I can also say it's a really good thing that we get to see as facilitators. So, um, and the only other thing I want to ask specifically is just you said that you worked with LifeMap a bit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I actually started as a life map coach prior to coming officially into AA&E and being now in the IFS department. So I've been doing that for a long time. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I don't know how. I guess just to say a little more about it. Typically meeting with a client once a week, although I have some others I meet with less frequently because they're sort of in more of a stable place where it's more of like maintenance in a sense. And yeah, we work on a variety of things. I think what I just really love about doing the coaching with through LifeMap with autistic adults, and then also the parent coaching, and then also I'm in private practice as a therapist. So I just love seeing all the different kind of angles of the situation, and I guess within the parent kid dynamic, adult kid dynamic, I find it really interesting and also helpful to my ability to help them to really like see both sides and kind of connect with both sides, because so often there is, even if not a conflict, just a different perspective. So I think it helps me bridge the gap. So yeah, so I guess what else about life map coaching? Just people are fascinating, and I appreciate getting to know them and seeing kind of what they're dealing with in their life and trying to be a sort of cheerleader in a sense, because I think we all need that, and then just trying to problem solve, and it's kind of whatever they need in the moment. So it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you get the opportunity to be able to see it from so many different perspectives and then be able to kind of weave all of that together to be supportive in a lot of different ways. So I think that that's a really wonderful thing. Um, I think I have one more question for you, which
Sure.
is, um, how did you get involved in this kind of work and why is it close to you?
Mhm. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, I have a private practice as a therapist. So I had been not kind of in the autism world, so to speak, or not working specifically with autistic folks or not having personal experience, lived experience. But I ended up leaving the place I had been working, which was more like mental health focused, and just kind of venturing out a little bit. I don't know. I guess I didn't really know where I was going. And I ended up working with an autistic man who uh, was my first known experience like with an autistic person. I'm sure, of course I have come, I've worked with other guys. Now I recognize, okay, of course I knew a lot of autistic people, but at the time it was kind of new to me. And yeah, I just started working with him in like a coaching type capacity. And I was like, wow, I really like this. I really appreciate getting to understand kind of how he views the world. And so then I was like, is there any way I could do more of this, or like, is this a thing? And then I was very fortunate to be told, yeah, there's A&E, right nearby, which is, then we were mostly in person, and it just so happened to be like 20 minutes away. So then I began doing some kind of temporary work, I guess, or answering some calls, and then from there just kind of grew into this role. So yeah, I don't have the lived experience that other people have, but I find, one, I guess I've recognized places it shows up in my personal life, but also I think just with my clients, well, it's not the same. I think I guess it's just I've learned a lot on the job. I think, schools is one thing, but I think for me, it's just been like how many meetings I have with people. It really kind of deepens my understanding, but also I'm clearly still learning as I go.
Yeah, and I think it's really great that you had that encounter with that one person who kind of introduced you and opened up the world for you because I think that that's probably a lot how a lot of people get into this world is they have one person in their life or they encounter one person in their practice or they encounter one person um, in their place of employment or whatever and it changes their perspective and gets them involved. So I think that that's a wonderful thing. Um, at this point, I just want to say thank you for coming on and thank you for talking to us and introducing yourself a little bit to our community. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we head off here?
Thank you for doing this. I guess maybe just that I know it can be scary to reach out. It can be daunting, and you don't know what to expect necessarily. I think we're really nice, kind people who really care. I know I can say that for myself, but I see it all the time with the people we work with. So hopefully you'll connect with us and find a sense of community or support. We're here.
Thanks again, Kelly.
Thanks, Ryan.
Bye, everybody.